Hey, Deep Divers, welcome back. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And leave a comment.
That's right. Okay, let's get ready for our deep dive today.
Yeah, this should be a good one.
So, today's subject, Chris Pratt.
You know, Star-Lord.
Star-Lord himself.
Yeah.
He's in a bit of hot water
Yeah, a bit of a social media storm brewing.
over some comments he made about the election.
Yeah, the be kind and see both sides thing.
Right, see both sides.
Yeah,
Seems like that didn't land so well.
didn't land so well with everyone, no.
So we're going to unpack this article from The Root. It's called, let's see, Chris Pratt shamed for both sides election take.
Catchy title.
Yeah, so we're going to try to figure out exactly what went wrong here.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so right off the bat, this is interesting.
Yeah, tell me.
So Pratt's piece, like the original comments, appeared in the Sunday paper,
Ah, yes.
which is run by, you guessed it,
His mother-in-law.
Maria Shriver.
Exactly. So you've got this interesting family dynamic already. Remember Shriver and her ex, Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Both endorsed Kamala Harris very publicly. So Pratt's kind of sitting on the fence here,
Yeah, like Switzerland.
while his in-laws are, well, you know, not
That's so neutral.
not so neutral.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. Look at what Pratt actually said.
Get into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. So in this Sunday paper piece, it's all about kindness, understanding,
Right.
being a good sport, regardless of who wins the election. On the surface, sounds pretty harmless, right?
Sure, like who doesn't like kindness?
Right, exactly. But we have to remember the context here.
Uh-huh.
This election, it's intense.
That's putting it mildly.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the allegations against Trump, all the anxiety about what a second term could mean for a lot of people,
Yeah.
it's a really heavy atmosphere. And in that context, a message that's meant to be neutral.
It can feel, well, dismissive,
Right.
especially for people who feel like, you know, their rights, their freedoms are on the line.
Exactly. And that's where the backlash comes in, right?
No, the backlash.
Yep. Yeah. This article, it's just full of strong reactions to Pratt's message.
I bet.
There's this one quote, it really stuck with me.
Oh.
It's from a trans woman. She's a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan, but
That.
she said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that with everything at stake in this election, hearing Chris Pratt say, "I see both sides,"
Oh.
it just felt, well, incredibly tone deaf.
Ouch. Ouch is right.
Yeah, that quote, it gets to the core of it.
Yeah.
When people are genuinely afraid, worried about basic rights, freedoms, the idea of seeing both sides,
Yeah.
it can come across as minimizing those fears.
Right.
It's like, let's just agree to disagree
Yeah.
when the disagreement is about, your right to even exist.
Exactly. It's just not that simple.
Well, not that simple at all.
Okay, so we've got this backdrop of a really intense election. People are on edge.
Yeah.
But then you add Pratt's past into the mix.
Uh-oh.
Things get a lot more complicated.
Yeah, I bet.
So the article digs into some of his past actions, his associations.
Let's just say it doesn't paint a pretty picture.
Okay, lay it on me.
So, first, you've got the suspected support for Trump. Never confirmed.
But the suspicion is there.
It's there. Then there's the association with some, let's say, controversial Christian figures.
Known for.
Their anti-LGBTQ stances.
Ah, right. Remember when Elliot Page called him out back in 2019?
Exactly. That was a whole thing.
Mhm.
And then there's the whole following alt-right and homophobic accounts on social media.
Right.
All this is just adding fuel to the fire.
It's not a good look.
It's really not. It's making it really hard for people to accept his message,
Yeah, it's like on one hand he's calling for kindness and understanding,
Yes.
but then there's this whole other side of things.
Exactly. And it all clashes with this supercharged political climate.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
It really is.
Yeah.
So what do we make of this?
Well, it raises a really big question.
Yeah.
Is it always possible or even appropriate to see both sides?
That's a good question.
Like, how much do our own values, our experiences, especially when they feel threatened, how much does that shape our ability to find common ground?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It really is. And to make things even more interesting,
Oh, there's more.
there's always more. There are different political views within Pratt's own family.
Oh, no. Awkward Thanksgiving dinners.
You said it. But this isn't just about Pratt.
Oh,
This reflects a much larger trend.
go on.
Families everywhere are dealing with this. political divisions. It's a real challenge figuring out how to navigate those differences.
Yeah, especially now.
Especially now.
So we've got a celebrity in hot water,
Yep.
a high-stakes election, past actions coming back to haunt him,
Uh-huh.
family drama, and this whole question of whether celebrities should even get involved in politics.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is, and that's not even scratching the surface.
Oh, boy.
But deep divers, hold on tight. We're just getting started.
We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back, deep divers.
Okay, so before we got sidetracked,
Sidetracked.
with all the other stuff,
Right.
we were talking about Pratt's message.
Yeah, his call for kindness, understanding.
Right, in the context of this one.
Lively election.
Lively is one word for it.
And it's definitely got people talking.
That's for sure. And it seems like his message.
It didn't quite hit the mark for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you consider, like, everything we just talked about.
Right, the past associations, the anxieties around this particular election. It's a lot.
It really is. And this article, it does a good job of contrasting Pratt's message with, like, the potential consequences of the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really highlights how some people see this election as, like, a battle for fundamental rights and freedoms. It's pretty heavy stuff.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not a lighthearted topic.
Well, not at all.
And that's such a crucial point when people feel like their very existence or their safety is at stake, Calls for neutrality can be really tough to hear.
Yeah, I get that.
It's almost like saying, let's just agree to disagree when the disagreement is about your right to exist. It just doesn't compute.
Right. It's not a simple difference of opinion.
Exactly.
And the article, it even brings up specific concerns, like about potential rollbacks of trans rights, reproductive rights, the safety of minority groups. It's serious stuff.
Absolutely. And for a lot of people, these aren't just abstract political ideas. They're tied to their lives, their futures.
Right, it's personal.
Very personal. And that's why Pratt's both sides thing, which, in another situation might seem harmless.
Yeah.
It lands so poorly here, it comes across as minimizing those fears, anxieties.
Like he's not taking it seriously.
Kind of, yeah.
So it's this clash between, like, a message of kindness and the reality of what's going on.
Exactly. Like oil and water.
And then on top of all that, you've got Pratt's past associations.
Right.
Especially the connections with,
Figures known for anti-LGBTQ plus views.
Right. It just throws more fuel on the fire.
It really does.
And you mentioned Elliot Page calling him out.
Yeah.
That seems to be coming up a lot in all of this.
It's a perfect example of actions speak louder than words. He might preach kindness, but then...
His actions don't match up.
Exactly. It creates this dissonance, and people pick up on that.
So it all circles back to the question of celebrity influence, doesn't it?
It does.
Like when someone like Pratt makes a statement, it has an impact.
Whether he intends to or not.
Right. So what, celebrities should just stay out of politics?
I don't know. It's not that simple, is it? It's not about silencing them. It's more about...
Responsibility.
Yeah. Using their platform wisely. With great power comes great responsibility or something like that.
Right, right.
It's about being aware of the consequences and being willing to have, like, real dialogue.
Thoughtful dialogue.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes knowing when to just listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in a charged situation like this.
So we're back to this need for nuance, right?
Always nuance.
It's not just the message itself. It's the context, the past actions, how people react.
It's like peeling back layers of an onion.
That's a good analogy.
Thanks. And that's where critical thinking comes in, It's so easy to just jump to conclusions, especially on social media, but...
Take a step back.
Yeah. Look at the information, consider different viewpoints.
So in a way, Pratt's call for understanding, even if it wasn't intentional.
It's making us practice what he's preaching.
Whoa. We have to try to understand why his message flopped and why people are so upset.
It's a challenge, that's for sure.
It is.
It reminds us that communication is a two-way street. It's not enough to just throw a message out there. You have to think about how it's received, how it might be interpreted.
Especially with something like politics.
Right, and especially when you're a public figure.
Millions of followers.
Hanging on your every word.
Yeah, those words have power.
They do. The bigger the platform, the bigger the responsibility. And with social media, that responsibility is huge.
So where do we go from here?
That's the question, isn't it?
Do we just move on?
I don't have all the answers, but I think this whole situation, it teaches us something.
Yes, that.
It encourages us to, like, examine our own biases.
Okay.
Think critically about the messages we see, and be mindful of the impact of our own words and actions.
So even if we don't have a huge platform?
Even then, because we all have a voice.
Right. It's a good reminder that even simple messages can be complicated.
They can.
And sometimes the best thing to do is listen, learn, and talk it out.
Even when it's tough.
Yeah, even when it's tough. This whole thing, it's just wild, right? Like Chris Pratt and his comments, they've become this focal point.
Yeah, a lightning rod, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For like all these big conversations.
That's a celebrity responsibility and, yeah, politics, how divided things. I mean, it's a lot.
It really is. So we've got this like surface level message of kindness.
Right, but then underneath you've got all this other stuff.
It's like way more complicated than it seems at first glance.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we can't just like take things at face value anymore. We got to like dig deeper, look at the context.
Be willing to have those tougher conversations.
Exactly.
And maybe that's the point here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about like judging Chris Pratt or saying he's right or wrong or whatever.
Right.
It's about using this whole thing as a starting point.
Yeah.
To reflect on like our own values and how we deal with the world around us.
How we bridge those divides.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even when it feels impossible.
I think you nailed it. It's not about like canceling anyone or shutting down the conversation.
Right.
It's about recognizing that these issues, they're complex.
Yeah.
And being open to hearing things that maybe challenge our own views.
Right, right. And realizing that kindness, it's great, obviously.
Of course.
But it's not enough on its own.
Nope.
You need that real understanding.
The empathy.
Yeah, and sometimes being kind means like educating ourselves, speaking out against injustice.
And using your voice to make things better.
Exactly, no matter how big or small your platform is.
So well said. That's a conversation we need to keep having. Online, offline, everywhere.
So deep divers, as we wrap this up, we're going to leave you with one last thought to chew on.
All right, hit us with it.
What does this whole Chris Pratt thing tell us about like where we are as a society?
Ooh, good one.
What can we learn from this whole mess as we, try to figure out this crazy world of politics and celebrities and social media?
It is a crazy world out there.
It really is. Let us know what you think in the comments. And hey, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Tell your friends about the deep dive. We'll be back with more deep dives into the topics that matter.
Till next time, stay curious.